Welcome back to Caffeine Confessionals. My name is Allan, and we are here today to talk about the Challenge Battle of the Eras Season 40, Episode 19, finale recap. I'm joined by my lovely co-host. We have the Southern Luke Muncie,
What's up, guys?
the Vermontian Zoe Tremoli.
Hi, everyone.
This show has taken up half a year of our lives. So much patience. And we're just going to jump in and tell you the winners. Spoiler warning. If you don't know the winners, don't want to hear them, we're going to give you a 10-second grace period because we're not going to spoil it for you. But if you're watching this recap, we're just going to immediately have to talk about it because it's going to be eating away at us. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Congratulations to the winner, Season 40, Jordan Weissly. And then congratulations to Jenny West and Rachel Robinson.
Wah, wah, wah. But super congrats to Jordan and Jen.
And for Rachel, it looks good on paper. Season 40 was won by Jordan, Rachel, and Jenny. Looks great on paper. In actuality, I think this was pretty rough. And I know there's going to be detractors in the comments. I'm so sorry, but remove the goggles for 1 second. It's kind of BS. And I said to Zoe before this podcast, it's the name of the game, but what type of evidence this is that this is a flawed game and should not be part of the game.
But it's not the name of the game that we've come to know either.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think it's such bullshit. I've been saying for a while now that if the karma points had a significant impact on someone going from fourth or third to first, that would be ridiculous. And I'm not excited about Rachel winning. I think it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, and I am bummed for Michelle, but I said before we recorded this too, I'm happy that Michelle did not get first and then bumped back to another, because imagine how sucky that would be. But it's the fact that she didn't also tie is because she flopped on 2 of the checkpoints. Had she even placed higher on one of them, she would be the winner. She would be the winner. So she can take some accountability for that. But because she didn't score as favorably as Tori and Rachel in terms of stars and karma points, when she had to put targets on people's backs so frequently because that was the name of the game, it just really sucks.
I think I feel bad for Michelle, but I think I feel even worse for Jenny that now this is rumored to be the second time that she was supposed to win and production mangled her ending to make her share money with someone.
Yeah, tons of speculation after Total Madness that they said the first person to cross is the winner. And then they said, well, it's also man and woman because Bananas is coming up. And what a great story it is to have Bananas win his 7th. The curse is broken. I get it's a TV show. And they have every right to do that, but it's bullshit. If that's actually what happened, it's all alleged, whatever. But yeah, I don't like Jenny, but that sucks for her.
Let's get back to the basis, though. Let's get back to the starting point. No. As in, let's still complain. Let's talk about the bullshit that is karma points.
Okay.
Because what's so frustrating to me about karma points is that the players were in the dark about it this entire time. And that's what really frustrates me. It's they never told the players how the karma points would work, how the rules of the game would be. And I know TJ kept repeating to them, care about how you treat people, care about how you treat people in the game. That's not telling them what this format is at all. And so it's the fact that these players are now then getting punished for playing the game at times is just, it's nonsense. I mean, as Luke said, Michelle had to target people over and over again, and she was put in this position where she had to fight and fight and fight. And then by sending these people home, she's just hurting herself for the final. So not only was her road there difficult, but then it's another roadblock in her way.
I would love for someone to present an argument to me that Michelle treats people worse than Rachel does. Because that's what the line has been. How you treat people matters, how you treat people matters. Michelle doesn't treat people badly. She plays the game sometimes. But she's not treating people badly. I would argue, honestly, that none of these 4 women have been treating anyone badly in this game. So it's just a popularity contest. It has nothing to do with karma.
Completely. And also these karma points, randomly being told they're worth 2 checkpoints at the end. How convenient that no matter how you configure it otherwise, Rachel does not also tie to win. Like, I understand having Jenny be the winner of your monumental season sucks, but perhaps you should have thought of that when you were making your cast for 40. I mean, I do think she has a place to be there as a champion and one of the Brits because that was a huge part of Era 4. But, like, you can't tell me that Georgia Harrison would have jumped at the idea to come back. You couldn't tell me that you couldn't. Well, Melissa and Big T were on standby. And not that, like, I'm their fan favorite, but, like, Melissa actually had ingrained relationships with a ton of people. I just don't get it.
So if the karma points had just been 1 checkpoint, not two, or 2, the final outcome would have been Jenny would have had 21 points, or 23 points. Michelle would have then had 22. Rachel would have had 21, and then Tori would have had like 17. So it would have been really neck and neck between the 3 of them, which would have been like, hey, you got a super close outcome still. Everyone 1 point across from each other. That would have been like, hey, the karma points did affect something, but it was still, we still got a fair outcome.
Yeah. And I just hate it for Michelle too, because I don't think $50,000 pre-tax, so let's say like $30,000, makes that big of a diff.
25.
I know, but I'm saying like she's losing $50,000.
Got it. Yeah.
I don't think that like that matters too much to her because, after tax, I mean, it's still a nice chunk, but like she's already won her $1 million. But as she said, saying you came in second versus third even carries more weight in the challenge. Like, I just hate it. I hate it.
I'm glad it had no bearing on the men's side of things. But karma points are the most bullshit thing. You can bury them with all the other worst challenge twists in the history of the challenge because I never want to see this shit again.
Well, and it reminds me of All Stars 4 even. You can be Laurel's biggest fan or not. I don't care. It would have been a much tighter race if she had not been. Well, I'm going to go on the limb and say Cara would have won All Stars 4. People get so upset every day on Twitter. I'm so tired of the discourse. Here I am speaking about it again. But like, I know they weren't specifically karma points, but it's if your friends got the lead, they got to give you an advantage. Like, what? If they knew that beforehand, like you said with the karma points, Zoe, they might have been more strategic to maybe vote some of their friends out or cut deals with people in the game as it went. Listen, if I keep you safe, will you promise if you leave, you'll give me this many points? They're not barred to it, but like it could have added another layer to the season that we just didn't get. Like we need this to be gone. Season 41, when they start filming that, TJ needs to look them all in the face and say, like he said many times, no redemption house, no whatever. There are no karma points. This is a you game because it is such a bad twist. And there have been some people on Twitter, like cast members recently saying like, oh no, it helps for the house to not be toxic. May I remind you, I don't want you to live toxically. You are signing up for a reality show that people consume and good ratings lead to you being invited back. There might be some toxic moments because that's just life. Like, I don't want to watch Friends. I don't.
Also, I'll jump on this train. Like, there's nothing at this point that Johnny Bananas could do that would not have people voting against him for karma points.
Yeah. Even Leroy voted against him for karma points. His best friend.
People should be just allowed to play the game too, because I mean it's one of those things where like this is how it's like, how does the Vacation Alliance have such a stranglehold in the game? It's when you create formats like this, they're like, don't do anything that'll actually create waves and create enemies. The challenge is greatest. Like when we were talking about the season, we were recapping it. We had the most fun when there was actual conflict going on, when people were actually going at each other. This format is just so anti-conflict, and it's just so frustrating because it's anti-challenge.
I know the counter is going to be, well, you all don't like Jenny. Isn't it better to have Rachel? Just no. I'd rather just have a bad winner than a winner that has, Zoe said this, a giant asterisk next to the name. Because here's what also is insane to me. Rachel is now up there with Evelyn and Veronica as a 3-time female champ. which is pretty awesome. But like,
it would be awesome if she deserved it.
Yeah.
That's okay. I think the whole like deserve thing is very interesting because there's been a lot of challenge seasons where I do think players deserve to win and the final outcome just didn't roll their way.
Yeah.
Like I think Cara Marie on Dirty 30 had like one of the best seasons of her career. Camilla just beat her in the final. Hilariously, that's a season we could have used karma points in. Looking back, that's probably the only season where karma points actually would have helped.
Slight tangent. Also, that was a season where we didn't know the winner until the finale, and we already saw the fan reception as it was airing, and they could have just said that Cara won, but still chose to award Camilla money and bring her back to Champs versus Stars.
Yeah, but like Cam double agents. There's all these seasons where people have had like, even though they didn't win, like okay, so Tori came in fourth this final, but Tori had a season that was deserving of a win prior to the final, and had she like won via that way, I feel like, you know what, I can excuse it. Because she played like I didn't think Casey did. I mean, I thought it was bullshit how Casey won Spies, Lies, and Allies, but I did think she was a deserving winner. We've had outcomes like that in some ways because like, she won the most dailies. She was at least like she was running the game, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
I can appreciate that counter argument, and I do think I'm definitely fired up right now because I've just consumed watching it. I just like this is less like hate towards Rachel. It's more hate towards production for even including a twist like this. It helped them because they get to have their Era 1 person who outlasted, like she's been gone for so many years. It's a wonderful storyline. But my God, why would you want a season to end with people debating whether or not there's validity to your show?
The only checkpoint she won was counting. And she only came in second one other time. She did not finish above third.
Yeah.
In the majority of the checkpoints.
I'm laughing right now because Luke is known as the spoiler person on this podcast. My take right now about like deserving winners type stuff, that's a take that's been like 8 weeks in the making of like when I found out whatever the spoiler was. And I've been on my runs every day, and every day I'm thinking about it like, okay, how does this compare to Survivor and other shows where multiple people can deserve to win? And that's why I had that take. In the moment though, no, I'm also pissed that Jenny didn't win, and I'm pissed that Michelle got second taken away from her as a fan. But I don't know.
Well, and I had to think because I know that my bias runs deep. If Ashley Mitchell were in this final and had gotten third and had jumped, I would still be like, that's kind of really flawed. I mean, secretly, I'd be like, oh my God, 3-time champ. So I get it. I get it if you're a Rachel fan. But I would be able to say this is a flawed win. I even think that Final Reckoning, where she won her million, you could call that in question. I won't. Some people have, but like, I just hate that there are seasons where we have to call things into question. You mentioned double agents. I wanted Cam and Corey to win so badly, specifically Cam, but there was no denying the winner there. And I'd much rather that just be the outcome. Although there are some discrepancies that Cam's recently brought up. But again,
Okay, before we move into like recapping the episode a little bit, do you guys want to bring up any interesting karma votes?
I do think that Leroy not giving Bananas 5 is funny and also like a testament to how we all feel. We don't want to see, like, I love when somebody gets their second win. It's like, okay, you joined a different type of group, but Bananas winning his 8th does nothing. It's when CT won 3 out of 4 seasons that we watched. I was happy for him, and he is one of the GOATs, but like, my God, there were some other men there that I would have liked to have seen win.
What was the final ranking in the men's karma votes? I know Derek got the most.
Derek, then Kyland, then Jordan, then Bananas. I was surprised that Kyland actually came in third. I mean, second of those 4, because I just thought more people would just be average on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like especially with all the people that left early on, I couldn't see them ranking him very high, but maybe they just didn't care.
Nerys gave him a 4.
Yeah, I think she didn't realize how much it was going to matter, though.
I think it's because she wanted to give Horacio only 5, because if he were to make it, she didn't want to be the person who I got it. But again, it would be really cool to be transparent from the jump. Here's how this is going to work. Like, this is going to make up a large part of the final. Like, they might have just thought this was going to be, hey, you get a head start, which at one point it probably was.
Yeah, I'd argue production had no concrete plan until they decided what they could do to change the outcome.
Yeah. I would also argue they probably had one more checkpoint just in the barrel in case they needed it to like switch some shit up, like swim with weights. Here, Michelle, here's your 80-pound weight. Rachel, here's your 8-pound weight, but they're the same size.
It did make me laugh when Emily Scrum gave Jenny one because just the two very fit women just do not like each other at all.
Did Emily give anyone over a 2?
I don't know, but Emily like just talking shit about Jenny's vaping and stuff like that. I just like that they have their own little beef and their own little weird world of their own.
Yeah, they're a weird world by themselves.
I just selfishly will never get it, but I want all the footage because think about all the snarky comments that were said about people that did not make the final that we'll just never get to see. I don't know. I'm worried too that people are going to comment and be like, well, you think that Michelle should have won. I'm not saying that. I wanted Michelle to win, but like she rightfully deserved not to.
She deserved second place.
It just sucks that somebody who did far worse than her superseded her in the rankings because she had more friends and was Era 1.
Let's fast forward through what the final actually was today. We pick up with the coin counting challenge. Not as funny as it was last week. Just like they probably should have ended it last week, and then I think one of the funniest moments of the episode to me though was when Johnny Bananas was 10 coins away from finishing his count, and they made him stay awake for they're like, time's up. You got to stay up for another 30 minutes.
I actually love that. Mm-hmm. And I think they included that because that's something they could control. They don't want Bananas to win the season, especially not when Jordan is so far ahead. Like, let me show you that we're not, fixing the rules for one person. And I love that he had a little temper tantrum because he had to follow the rules.
The other standout thing for me, which I think I figured out how this happened, but Tori being off by 1,000 was insane.
Now, I saw that and I was like, oh, she just skipped a number at one point because she was so close. She was, I think, 984 off. She probably just skipped a number from she went from 5,000 to 7,000 out of nowhere or something like that.
I was thinking also she was trying to remember it was say 5,432 and she flipped the 5 and the 4 when she went or the other way around, 4,500 and went above.
Yeah.
That was my guess.
Which if she had gotten it, if she had not flipped it, in theory, she would have been 16 off and would have won the checkpoint.
And it would have also so many, whatever.
But Rachel got to get her first place, so good for her.
Yep. It's the only portion she won. Michelle came in second there still. Jenny third. I mean, Jenny just literally threw all the coins in and was and just threw out a random number. Still beat Tori though.
Well, and I want to say also Rachel, Michelle, and Jenny all beat Derek.
The women just Rachel kept saying it throughout the final. The women just keep outperforming the men. And it was true. I mean, especially when the baseline is always going to be Kyland in every round. No offense, Kyland.
But they were beating the majority of the men, other than Jordan, who's a freak.
And then from there, just a bunch of swimming and puzzles, checkpoints again. Do we need to go through them or just want to jump into?
Let's jump into individuals because it ran together for me.
All right. So let's talk about our winner for the males. Jordan Wisely, 5-time champion. Joins Bananas and CT is the only people to win 5+. He's done it in only 10 seasons. I've been saying he's the greatest challenge competitor since 2020 and since time. It's only become more true. I mean, he's won 2 individual formats, 2 pair formats as a team, only played a 3-peat in the last 20 MTV seasons, 11+ elimination wins, doesn't even have 10 fingers. He's just incredible.
Well, CT's 3-peated in the last 20. Oh, you mean I get what you're, well, no, what are you saying?
He won 3 appearances in a row. CT didn't win 3 in a row. He won 3 out of 4. Right?
Well, Jordan's not won 3 in a row.
He won X's 2, Dirty 30, War of the Worlds 2.
Oh, I thought you meant including this one.
Gotcha. Oh, no. Only, in the last 20 seasons, he's the only person to pull off a 3-peat.
Got you. Yeah, I mean, it's impressive no matter how you shake it out. He said, call me back for 50. And I'm curious if he'll actually follow through with that. I think it'd be really cool to know that you don't.
I bet they get it back sooner than 50.
Yeah.
He won the historic 30th season in blowout fashion with a broken leg. I mean, the funniest part of this final was every time Jordan had to pretend anyone was even close to him. He's like, oh, I can see Derek in the distance coming behind me. Oh, I can see Bananas coming here. You know, never know what could happen. In actuality, I'm actually kind of getting mad thinking about it because Jordan should have just flexed and been like, I'm blowing everyone out right now. Like, I think he was too humble, if anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a whole other level. Like it's just they made a massive mistake letting him get this far in the game. No one should ever make that mistake again.
There were a couple Jordan comments that made me laugh, though. One of which was he said that, like, I didn't come into this game with a pregame alliance without anything like that. And I'm like, Jordan, you had the undying loyalty of multiple women you've slept with before. I mean, Laurel would literally cut Banana's head off with a guillotine on the reunion stage for 5 minutes with you again. Like she threw away multiple points of her like game just for him. Um, and then he also said that if you told Rivals 2 Jordan that he'd have 5 championships by now, he wouldn't believe you. That's also bullshit because he walked into free agents banging his chest like he was king of the challenge. Rivals 2 Jordan would have fully believed he'd be a 5-time champion by now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then one of the women who was like one of his greatest soldiers had an entire alliance behind her. So
Luke, are you
Well, and
not
also,
excited?
well, I was just going to say too, the women want him for the final because they think they might be his partner, which is why it was so weird that the women were deciding these votes the whole time because you would think they'd be running and like switching off partners. I was happy we didn't get that because it does lend itself to the validity of people's win. But like, then why did you not have the men target the men, the women target the women? I get that like the dynamics of how they did that would be a little weird because they'd have to skip a week, but like do something. Because I guarantee if you put it in the men's hands, knowing like, hey, you can expressly target him. It's not the woman's vote that matters, or you don't have to whatever. He would have been thrown in at least once or twice.
It does make me laugh every time I see the comment online, though, from people like, how could the men let Jordan get this far? They didn't. There was no world where they could even hit him.
Yep.
yep.
Any other thoughts on Jordan? Or are we just going to just be like, he's the greatest of all time? We know this already.
Yeah, he's the GOAT. Most deserving champ.
Now, I will say, so he came in first place in 6 out of 7 portions, second place in the other. Only won by 4 total points because of the karma vote, which I think is way too close than it even should have been.
That's nuts.
Again, it's karma points are bullshit, and that's not to take away from Derek. So Derek Chavez, second place, and he came in second place in a lot of portions. He came in and he won the coin, counting portion. He was very clearly the second best male in this final. Wasn't close to Jordan, but hey, he beat Johnny Bananas in a final cleanly.
Yep.
And Bananas can say whatever he wants, but I know that is eating him up, that he was just purely outperformed by Derek in this final.
I'm happy for Derek, like very happy. Because during All Stars 4, y'all were rooting for him. And I was like, there's absolutely no way that he does well. And then this season, like he's actually done really well and he finished it out. There was no way that he was beating Jordan. So if I'm Derek, this second place is a win for me.
If you told someone before the season that Derek Chavez was going to beat Johnny Bananas in the season 40 final, they'd ask you, who is Derek Chavez? Now, $75,000, like we talked about earlier with Michelle, like she's won her $1 million. Derek Chavez has never won $1 on these shows. So 75 grand, living in Arizona, that buys a lot of drinks.
Yeah, it's more than a lot of people that have done this show for, 18 seasons have won.
Who is that a shot at? Just a lot of different people? I feel like that was directed at someone. I don't know who.
I don't know.
I think Wes and CT only won 62 grand each for winning Rivals 2. Because they split $125,000, which is crazy because that was only 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Any other comments on Derek?
I'm really happy for him and really impressed by him. And I think that he earned a call back for sure.
God, I hope not. I think he's so nice, but you're right, Zoe. Like, I think he's gonna have a chance to like show off again, but I need him to be a little messier.
Well, earn a callback for definitely for All-Star seasons moving forward.
Oh, I'm fine with that for sure.
I would like a Derek callback, not for 41. Give us a little break of him, and then maybe like a 42 or a 43, if the format makes sense.
If the format makes sense.
And if we make it there.
Third place, Johnny Bananas. Third straight final loss, which at one point in time, Bananas had only lost 2 finals in his original run. Had only lost 1 time after his first win. He's not unbeatable in finals anymore. It's clear. Obviously, this is a water final, so it's a lot different. But there was also just a thought of time that if Banana gets there, he's going to win. That's no longer the case.
No, and it will never be.
I will give him some credit here. Maybe not credit, but like acknowledgement that he said it himself. He had to feel so validated that Rachel and Jenny pulled off the win. Like he invested in the right girls for his game, as much as it irks me. And I want to roll my eyes like, Zoe, like, I get it. It was smart, but I think it's also funny that like they carried you. He has to acknowledge they carried me.
And they benefited from his lackluster performances because he kept having to go into elimination because he was so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about him like celebrating Jenny and Rachel's win at the end. He made the women's results really about himself in classic Banana fashion. And even then, like as happy as he was for them, really he was just more happy for seeing Tori and Michelle lose, which he said, oh, that's what they get for their karma. And I'm like, again, what did they really do to you? Like, you went after Devin first?
There's nothing. They did nothing to him. He's just the worst. He's the worst.
And I can even partly, I'm not giving him grace, but I could see a motive for Tori because after Devin's gone, she did say, this is for Devin. I get it. But he weaseled his way in between Michelle and Devin. Like he tried to mess up their situation purely for game purposes.
No, Luke, he was just looking out for her. He was being a real friend.
Great addition to the season, though. Like, if we're talking about who is like the male MVP of the season, it might be him. It's either, I mean, Jordan obviously won the season, but Jordan wasn't bringing much entertainment week to week. So, I mean, there were a lot of weeks where Bananas was the guy carrying the show, even though we complained. I mean, he gave us something to complain about. So
yeah, he has a personality, even if it's a terrible one. Like he certainly has one.
Yeah, I like Bananas best when there are some seasons in between and he comes back and I'm like, okay, this is nice for the season. We get to have this character. I really hope he's not on 41, but I do feel like we have to have one of CT, Bananas, and Wes on one of these seasons at this point, which we shouldn't have to, but the audience craves that, the general audience. And I think Bananas is the most likely to do a 41. So
I think we do kind of need him for 41 just because, like, I mean, Tori said she's not doing it, but I just think like Bananas versus Tori, Bananas versus Michelle, any type of storyline like that, I'm really invested in at this point. I'd like to see it continue next season.
Yeah, maybe not because both those women have said they're not doing next season. And I know people say that, but I can imagine that if Tori says it, she actually means it. And Michelle too, for that matter, although I don't know. She said that about lots of things. But congrats to Bananas on your third place win and your $25,000 that will be taxed.
Okay. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just still laughing at when they told him he couldn't put his coins back. That was the moment where the final ended for him. He really just gave up after that moment and was like, yeah, I'm not catching Jordan. I'm not winning the karma vote. Fuck this.
I love the self-awareness.
Talking about self-awareness, fourth place, Kyland. And people were... I came away from this final actually impressed by Kyland. Because I watched him get punched in the face for 2 days, basically repeatedly, and he kept a smile on his face the entire time. kept pushing through, and he even helped Michelle and Rachel during the final. So, like, you know what? It's a good mindset, and I think this is a learning experience for him. I mean, he literally ate shit for 2 days.
Yeah.
Speaking of production interference, do we think Kyland's 1/3 place finish was a result of production being like, we're going to hand him something other than fourth? All he has to do is beat one of these dummies in a math problem.
What I thought, so Luke, I don't know if you thought this, but I thought they were gonna have like Johnny Bananas like be able to swim like 3 minutes later, and they're like, no, you just have to stay on the boat and wait till Kylan gets third.
Which I thought was great.
Because it had no impact on the game at this point. Like, it was funny. If it had been someone else who could have like really gotten screwed, I would think I would have been like, what? But it was funny to watch, and it was perfect that it was Bananas, because you know that he was gonna milk it and just like take his sweet time getting back to Sinister.
Who won that round for the women?
Jenny.
It was, yeah.
Okay. Again, this is nobody else's fault but Michelle's. But like, it makes me want to look at Derek and be like, listen, you weren't beating Jordan. Michelle was so close. She's your friend. Like, she might have been able to catch her in that swim. But again, that's Michelle's fault.
But I don't think she was, because that was the swim that Jenny finished next to Jordan.
And I also understood Derek's fear of like, oh shit, if I lose this, I have to face Kylan in math potentially.
For sure. Oh, and he should have not have helped her. But I'm going through these scenarios in my head.
He even gave her a shot. He like waited, looked around, but like he had to do it, and I was really proud of him because he's right. It was his game.
Yeah, true.
You think about other people who have died in finals. You had Zach obviously crying on free agents. You had Devin, who was refusing to run up the mountain at the end of Spies, Lies, and Allies, which like he doesn't get enough shit for. Compare that to Kylan. Like, Kylan was giving his all the entire time, even though he knew he was just coming in last everywhere. So for that, he has my respect. And we know Kylan, like, he's going to practice swimming a bunch.
Actually, I was just going to say we need to schedule a chit chat with him so we can ask how his swimming lessons are going.
He quoted Allan last week and started talking about when he was training that his swim instructor told him, like, maybe put some more into this, maybe practice with some distance swimming. And he's like, oh, that's not been part of most of the last few finals. I'll be fine.
Damn.
Guys, it's not that we need to see. Kylan has been asking to come on the podcast for a couple months. And I've been like, wait till the season's over. I knew he was going to, I mean, obviously, spoilers, I knew he was going to make the final based on spoilers. I was like, I want him to be able to talk about everything that happened on the season with no filter. So Kylan will be back on the podcast. So that's going to happen for sure. He's the first challenger to actively be like, when can I come back on? When can I come back on?
I love that.
That's my #1 draft pick, baby.
Now, Kylan comes in fourth. Oh, self-awareness. I love that Kylan said in the final, in the results, like, I'm glad I didn't take third place because people hate Johnny Bananas. Because he's like, I definitely don't feel like I would have earned it in that scenario.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Rachel.
So to the women's side.
Did you guys know the difference between Bananas and Kylan ended up being, though?
No, I didn't take a picture of that.
It was only 2 points after the karma vote. After all the fourth place finishes from Kylan.
That's a problem.
Yep. Karma points fucking suck. Now on to Rachel, which I'll say, karma points fucking suck.
Wait, are we skipping Tori?
Oh, no. We're going. Are we doing fourth to first, or do you want to do fourth to first for the women?
Well, I guess we did do first to fourth.
Yeah. Let's start with Rachel because I'm geared up. Okay. Allan, you're right, and I'm glad you gave me this perspective. She had a good season where she politically played a great game, and her win was purely derived. Well, I almost said from politics. No, her win was derived because people like her, and she's Era 1. She shit the bed on this final. Like, even if she had gotten second and then the karma points had tied her for first, I could take that more. But like Zoe said, her performances were so bad. Like so bad.
I wrote them down. Let me check my notes. As Zoe said before, she only came in second place in one physical portion. She won the coin portion, but other than that, she was fourth or third on the rest of the final throughout. And here's what frustrates me about the editing of this show. Because Rachel did her confessionals knowing she tied for first. So throughout this final, she's like, oh, I'm staying in it. Oh, the karma points are going to keep me in the game. If Rachel had just done, if there's no karma points involved, she would have been like, damn, I'm getting my fucking ass kicked. That would have been her confessionals throughout this final. But she gave those confessionals like, oh, I'm still in it. Oh, I'm still. No, if you're just watching the regular final, you're clearly in third, probably fourth. Actually, besides the coin counting portion, her and Tori did the exact same in the final.
I said the same thing, Allan. I was like, those confessionals, it was because I'm watching it and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you're really not in it. You're performing poorly. It's you and Tori battling for last and Michelle and Jenny battling for first. I just don't know how, from a competitive standpoint, as a competitor, if whatever, I'd be happy I won money because I have a family and whatever, that's great. But like as a competitor, I can't be proud of this win. It's bullshit.
And I wish that she had the gall when this episode airs to get on Twitter and say that. Say like, I don't deserve this, but like it was how the game played out, and I'm so thankful that I get to be a representative as the winner of 40. But she won't. I know that Wednesday night and Thursday all throughout the day, she's going to be defending her win, which I get it. Like, I understand that. But I think that she could get ahead of people's complaints like ours, because we're not going to be the only people. And if we are, I'm shocked. But just to say, like, what a crazy world that the rules of this game helped me get this win. Anything to that point, but I cannot listen to her say stuff about Michelle.
Well, and like Michelle didn't do anything to deserve people's hate, really. Like some people have issues with her. Amanda's crazy. I love her, but she's crazy.
Correct.
Like she doesn't deserve any bad karma in terms of this game. And like I was saying to Luke before the podcast, if I'd been someone voted out early on 40 based on what I know about Rachel and how I've perceived Rachel, I would have voted her really highly and given her great karma points because she is a badass and she is a legend and she is just so cool for so many reasons. But if I, as a fan who's watched this season, who's watched my opinion of Rachel change a little bit, it sucks. Like it's just based on like your reputation and not even on people's actual interactions with you.
And I'm sitting here thinking, in a way, production had to do this because how can you have this twist that does not impact the game? So like, again, I can't fault Rachel. I have to fault production, but it is just so annoying all around.
I still have all the terms muted on Twitter, so like I don't see any challenge tweets. And I've heard she's been pretty insufferable in regards to production about how she talks about this season and things in general. So I won't see anything she says about it. But yeah, I don't think I could stomach watching her defend this win.
And all this to say, because like I feel like we're being harsh on Rachel. Deserved. Like she's had some weird things this season. I want her back for 41. I think that she should be a lock for 41. Out of most of these women on this cast, bring her in where there is not a karma vote and say, okay, don't bring Jenny. By God, don't bring Jenny. But bring her in and say, here's your reigning champ. Here's some different dynamics. Like, have at it. Do I think there are some final situations that she could have killed? Absolutely. But they weren't this. Like, we can so many times say about finals, oh, if it had been this, then my person would have won. But that's just not what it was. And the counter argument is, you can say that about the points. I get it. I get I'm a hypocrite. But the fact that we've been talking for 58 minutes right now, and the majority has been about Rachel having this win and its legitimacy, it says a lot. But congrats to her genuinely. Like, happy for her, her wife, and her family to get the money. But like, I can't look at that and be like, you won fair and square.
No congrats for me. I think it's stupid.
What about for Jenny?
Congrats, and also I'm sorry to Jenny. That's how bad it is. I feel bad for Jenny, who I was saying for weeks, worst case scenario winner, worst case scenario. But that's how undeserving Rachel is and how deserving after this final performance I think Jenny was.
Jenny finished first place in 4 out of 7 portions. She came in second in another. And something that did cost her on top of the karma votes was she came in last place in the last portion with the water scooter. So if she just come in third in that one, she would have won the final. Though I assume if she'd come in third in that, suddenly the karma points would triple.
Yeah. So this is another testament of what's wrong with this show. And Jenny deserves both of her wins. So as much as it irks me, like, there are no asterisks. I can't say the word, but there are none next to hers at all. But she is a testament of what went wrong starting around
Casting?
Well, yes. Like, they saw you're international and you're brolic. Okay, come do this. Everybody knows that this show is built on the women. In fact, Rachel had that fantastic toast on the premiere episode. And Jenny is at this point forever ingrained in this show, no matter what. But she should have never been. It was so fun to see some women that like had day jobs and were able to get some time off because they've been on Are You the One or Real World or Road Rules before, come out and say, I've got 3 months. I'm going to work my ass off. I'm the average person. I'm going to try, and I might even win this show. That was really cool. But when you have somebody, and it's no fault to her that this is her profession, but she works out daily, still has no cardio, but like on top of that, she has no personality. You watched Battle of the Fittest or Survival of the Fittest with her and her twin sister and thought, wow, she's got the personality to come on the challenge. No, they just need British reality stars for World of Worlds 2. Still picked shitty ones. And then here we are, a 2-time champ, Jenny West, who most people do not like. If people on Twitter say they like her, it's as a joke.
They're stirring the pot. I would argue that some of her castmates think she has a personality, Luke, a really terrible one, and they find her really annoying.
You do got to wonder how shitty her sister's personality is, that she was the one that cast between them.
I think her sister had a baby
Oh,
after their show.
Jenny got real lucky then.
Yeah.
I do feel a little bad because I think Jenny is a nice girl. Like, I think that she, like, I don't know if I'd want to be trapped on Sinister with her hair and her crazy antics and just the blathering that she does. But I do think she's like a nice person who seems to like have good morals and good character. So this is purely from like an entertainment standpoint. Like, I don't wish her anything bad. I think that she is a very sweet person. I just don't ever need to see her on the show again.
And just to say that too, on Total Madness, one of my favorite things that she did was she would stay up in the UK when it was Eastern Standard Time and watch the episode with people. Like, I know that she enjoys this and she likes it. And I think that they did her dirty by bringing her and Mark Jansen on Double Agents and then dropping them the day the season started. So I was glad she got her season back, but like, I would have loved that with the second place.
And they did it again for World Championships. Just left her there.
Yeah.
I also want to just toot my own horn because this is my opportunity. Back when the cast originally, like, before the season even filmed, I had Jordan and Jenny ranked as my #1 female and male to win. So Allan, I usually get them wrong. I usually always get them wrong. I got it right, which to go 1 for 20 out of each, I'm very proud of. So some would say that's the most expected outcome because they're the 2 best players. Whatever, I still did it.
Yeah, you did prior to spoilers too. So we never need to see Jenny again. Like, I would love for her to like Skype somebody if she has a friend and be like, hello, whatever she says. Congrats on taking around half the money you deserved.
Rachel had that confessional. Can you imagine a better story than this about like them sharing the win? And I'm like, yeah, I can imagine it. Michelle would have won. That would have been a great story.
I can imagine a lot of better stories, actually.
It had Game of Thrones series finale vibes. It was like really, really bad. Let's talk about our girl Michelle though. Karma votes are bullshit because in one swoop, Michelle both lost second place and was told she was 1 point away from first place.
She just killed this final. Killed it. And I think people will make comments about all the swimming, and she still had to have the endurance to do all the swimming that she did, and the amount of heart that it took for her to overcome sometimes when she was in fourth or third place to get into a second or a first place for these checkpoints. She just performed phenomenally, better than my wildest dreams for her, honestly, in this final. And I think it is offensive that she got third.
Yeah, I'm not advocating that she should have been first, because I'm not going to say that about Rachel either. But she worked her ass off for that second. And like I said earlier, totally her fault on about 2 of those checkpoints where she should have been further ahead but had a misstep. I mean, I'm sure she kicked herself, but that's also part of the fun of this game, is like, oh, what could have been? Here's what I hate for her. 2 things. And I'm going to call back to season 39. The 3 of us said, wow, she was in that bullshit purge right before the final where they had 2 rounds where really, like, Michelle was going to make the final, that she probably could have won because it was suited to her strengths. This final was even more suited to her strengths. I don't think we're done seeing Michelle on this show, but I don't foresee her winning a season because I don't see a swimming heavy final after this one was so swimming heavy for the next several seasons. And I hate when I feel like somebody has just like missed the shot. And I'm by no means saying that Michelle is up there with a Cam Williams type, but like I fear in my heart that Cam Williams has missed the shot because she started a family and like she doesn't care about the show anymore. But like in my heart, she should be a winner. And like it just is so sad to think that, and I could be wrong, she could come on 41 and win the whole damn thing. But like this was Michelle's shot, in my opinion.
I agree, Luke. I mean, Nelson was 2 minutes away from winning Invasion on his second season, and then the window, it was just he never was ever close again, and now he's clearly never gonna go to a final again for other reasons. But that's a whole. He went on a whole other 9 seasons after that and wasn't ever gonna win. Nerys, I love her so much. I don't know if she's ever gonna have the opportunity again. Melinda and Nehemiah were on the verge of All Stars 2. They're probably. I mean, Melinda's never been to a final four. That's not gonna happen. Melinda's not gonna win a championship at this point. If it does, it'd be kind of cool, but like that's not happening.
Kellyanne even.
Kellyanne. Multiple times now,
Yeah. I still think All Stars won. Like such bullshit.
I'm actually, you know what? I'm not dying on a Kellyanne win. I'm gonna be in the year 2035, still believing Kellyanne can win.
Oh, I think Kellyanne, under the right circumstances, could win a season for sure.
I think she's also
season.
She's also, I think, younger than Jenny, so she's got years on her. So
yeah.
It's just that window. It's such the chances of people winning these shows is so little. I bring out the math sometimes, and like if you add up like every season Jordan's been on mathematically, he's expected to have 0.81 championships, which means he's not even expected to have a full win yet. He has 5. But right. That's how like these players go on these like it's like how have you not won after 10, 12 seasons? Well, even the math says they're not likely to win after 10, 12 seasons. Like it's so hard to win on this show and your opportunities come so few and far between that when people pull off multiple ones, it's like genuinely like crazy impressive.
Yeah, congrats to Ashley Mitchell. I'm gonna say this too. I'm on a Michelle kick. Sorry for people who hate Michelle and think I'm being annoying. I think so too. But I think Michelle's probably gonna have the case of Cam as well, where I think for a lot of different seasons, Cam should have been handed a win. Like, not saying that she didn't work her ass off, but like if we're going to put things in people's favor, it should have been Cam, but they expected her to keep coming back because she's great storyline and thought if she wins, she might take a step back. But now she's taken the step back without the win and it sucks. After this episode, Michelle has the 24th most confessionals of all time when it comes to the challenge. Of all time. She's right under Paula. She actually might be above, depending on how many she got on this episode. But like, they clearly value her. So to have this happen where like she's deranked and loses money, it's like, you gotta value your talent. And also, if you're gonna manipulate the show, maybe manipulate in ways that are gonna like shock the fans or like appease the fans. Not that I think they should manipulate at all, but if you're gonna do it, give us a girl who's never won. I don't know. I've got to shut up.
I love Michelle. Like, just plain and simple. I love Michelle. And, you know, people will sometimes reply very mean stuff to me on Twitter online. I'm okay with it. You know, whatever. But someone's just a really mean thing about Michelle, and my instant reply was, "Get bent, Michelle rocks." Like, I don't know what people like want in reality TV in 2025, like from a challenger, that Michelle doesn't like fill those qualities, because she hooks up, she wins eliminations, she gives good confessionals, like she's always in the mix somehow. Like, that's a good reality TV cast member.
She's in drama and it's not too personal. And people are going to say, well, she said that about Aviv and blah, blah. Well, Aviv was playing footsie with bananas. Like, it wasn't like she referenced something that happened outside the show. People often comment under our podcast, like, y'all are bitching about Laurel and bananas and blah, blah, blah. Bananas drama doesn't bother me that much. Laurel's definitely did. And saying, like, do you want drama on TV or not? Michelle, like you said, is the perfect mix. Like, I think we're experiencing some sexism when it comes to her as well. Why people don't like her. But like, if we could have 14 Michelles show up for a season who like to drink, like to hook up, are intelligent, are not brolic as hell, that would be a really good season. But instead, we'll be seeing Anissa on Challenge 41, and she'll have the same tired storyline where she's going to get eliminated and say, well, maybe I should have played a game for myself. Maybe I shouldn't always be so trusting, do this for my friends, yada, yada, yada. Like,
Anissa's been working out, guys.
she looks great. And I actually do hope she comes on 41 without Tori and has to navigate a game, because I do think that could garner so much favor for her for this podcast. I don't know. But this is the problem, though. We have so many repetitive storylines. I'm on our Anissa rant now, but like that would be cool. But I take this back to, we got 3 champs this season, but we have no new champs this season. And I hate that. I love a 2-time champ, but I love when somebody new wins, because it's just like very cool. You're in this elite group. You're in this group that's really cool, and we get to celebrate it, and we just don't get to have that.
You good, Zoe?
I'm just sad.
We're gonna have to be more sad, because now we gotta talk about Anissa's best friend, Tori. This is the difference between when you give confessionals knowing you've won a final via bullshit and when you haven't. Because again, Tori and Rachel basically had identical finals, and Tori, after that coin challenge, she knew it was over. She knew it was over, and she just, even then though, she still came in second in a portion after that and was still trying hard, but it was tough sledding for her.
She lost well, and it's interesting that this season is what swayed me to being okay with Tori. And I think that, like, not that that's a win for her, but like that's a win for me. I went into the season hating her, and I still question some things that have happened. And people commented before, he just doesn't like Tori because he's obsessed with Amanda. No, Amanda's crazy. I love Amanda, but like Tori's done some weird stuff off cameras on her Instagram where like she's been very selective in what she wants to critique. But aside from that, she's not annoyed me this season so much. And I think that's been the consensus amongst everyone. In fact, the most popular spoiler page ever has been like rooting for her on Twitter and saying that she's had the best season he's ever seen of her. So like, I think she is so smart. I'm going to reference something Zoe said 18 weeks ago. You got to know when to cut off the game to make people want it. Tori had a pretty good season in terms of fanfare. She says she's not doing 41. When she inevitably returns for 42, people are going to welcome her with open arms. So masterclass on how to do the challenge is Tori. God.
And Tori is a true competitor. She was angry she came in fourth. She was disappointed in herself. She had a great season. She had a season deserving of a win. Maybe production gives some karma points that way, if anything. But didn't work out for Tori. And I'll say Zoe, earlier you said Rachel did poorly in the final. And by placement, her and Tori did do poorly in the final. But when you watch them compared to the men, they were still like trucking it out there. Like their endurance was really good. They just weren't as good as swimmers as Michelle and Jenny. Because we've seen Tori win swimming challenges on this season and other seasons. She's not a bad swimmer. She's a good above average swimmer. Michelle and Jenny are just on a different level.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And to
valid.
think that if Michelle hadn't won that first era invitational, she probably would have went home in Hall Brawl against Olivia. God. Okay. Well, probably still not. Whatever.
No, I agree with you, Luke. Like someone, I think Rachel, I said like the most unimaginable path. I'm like, no. Michelle could have been out like day one. That was probably the hardest path because she actually fought in this game. Or I think it was Jenny even said it, like or something like that. And I just kept thinking, like, man, Michelle saved herself on that first challenge, and then every elimination after that, and that would have been the best story.
Yeah, by far.
Season 41.
All Stars 5.
Yeah, let's say season 41 is basically airing in a few weeks because it's All Stars 5 on MTV. I know people have been upset about that. Understandably, we're going to get a censored, possibly watered down version. However, I do think this is far more accessible, and Paramount is going downhill just based off things you can read online. But it really raises the question, like, why are we having All Star? I don't know. I'm going to feel very strange if All Stars runs for 11 weeks and we have a 3-week break and then 41 happens. Like, the sweet spot of the challenge was when it ran for 3 months. You had some 3 months in between, and then there was 3 more months of the challenge. It was a great thing they had going.
You got to make the people miss you,
Mm-hmm.
I want to be transparent with everyone listening too. We have not discussed whether or not we're recapping All Stars 5 yet. Because I don't like. Look, I really like going out on Wednesdays, and I haven't been able to for 6 months. It's a great day to go out with friends. Go out. It's just just trying to live my life a bit. This show takes over a big part of our lives, and I'm always thankful for you two for just coming and doing the podcast. I think we're gonna recap it. If you guys are busy, I don't even know if like we're airing it out right now because I don't want us to end this podcast and say, hey, tune in with us in 3 weeks, and then like in 3 weeks comes, it's like, yeah, sorry, no podcast.
Let's skip the reunions, and then I'll be open to those discussions.
Yeah. For now, Ashley's back. I want to cover it, but I understand. Yeah, we didn't get a preview for the reunion next week. Maybe we did. I don't know. But I may or yeah, I may or may not have already watched it on a VPN because it was released in Canada. It's interesting enough. So like, if you're someone who likes that nitty gritty, there is some of that next episode, but we won't be here to talk about it because that's obnoxious.
And I'm tired.
Well, everyone, time to go to bed. Let's put the season to rest. We might be back for All Stars 5. We might not. Who knows? Who knows what the challenge will bring us? It's bringing us Shane Landry and Frank Sleeny in a few weeks, though. So I'm excited for that. And Ashley Mitchell.
And Luke's like, oh my God.
And Luke's favorite challenger ever, Sam McGinn. Make sure to subscribe to us on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, wherever you get the podcast. We'll also have an interview with Kyland at some point because he wants to be on this podcast to talk about him drowning for 2 days. As a whole, though, thank you for listening this entire season. Thank you for always listening. Goodbye, everyone.
We're finished.
Fuck karma points.